along with anyone else who was hoping the World Cup might be a brief respite from anything Trump-related. No such luck here, because this weekend the president personally called up the head of FIFA to complain about the suspension of star U.S. player Folarin Balogun. After that call, in an extremely rare move, FIFA nullified the suspension. So Balogun will play against Belgium tonight, which is great. But this morning, Trump was also happy to take credit for it.
And on behalf of all Americans, thank you for getting rid of that ridiculous red card.
So I saw the play, and I'm a person that loves sports and was a good athlete, and I understand sports really well, really well. And that wasn't a foul. Yes, I asked for a review by FIFA. I spoke to a man who's highly respected.
The top European soccer body says the move crossed a red line, but it's fully in line with Trump's view of the world as a series of personal favors. And FIFA President Gianni Infantino knows how to play along. Of course, it's the same man who presented Trump with the newly invented FIFA Peace Prize just a few weeks before Trump started a war and lost out on the actual Nobel Peace Prize. I want to discuss with MS Now senior White House reporter Vaughn Hilliard and Miles Taylor still with us. Vaughn, the president basically gave us a readout of this phone call, but talk a little bit about what actually happened here, because I think for those of us who are just watching the World Cup, enjoying the fact that the American team is actually great this year, the red card itself did seem overblown, but then you add even more controversy to the mix with the president calling up Infantino and saying, hey, can we take a look at this?
Right. We should be very clear. It is widespread opinion that the red card should not have been handed out in the first place. But what has happened here is something that hasn't happened since 1962. That was the last time a red card was issued during a World Cup, and ultimately a player didn't have to serve a suspension here. That is why the players and the dynamics of this are also important, because you have the President of the United States openly admitting that he put in a direct phone call to Gianni Infantino, the head of FIFA, and said that he wanted a review of the decision to hand out that red card and suspend him. But what is so problematic here is the fact that last week, during that match, you have Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, sitting next to Infantino. Andrew Giuliani, he's the head of the FIFA World Cup Task Force for the White House. He is also engaged on this matter here, and that is what led to ultimately the Belgian Football Association being very clearly stated in their statement saying that it had not received any explanation for this decision, and that they have concerns over the fundamental principles of ethics, fair competition, and interests of football as a whole because of the decision to let Flo Balogun play tonight. The European Football Association, Ali, said that this is unprecedented, incomprehensible, and unjustifiable decision. But just in the last few minutes, we have, for the first time, an on-the-record statement from Infantino, the head of FIFA himself, writing in part, yes, I regularly discuss matters related to the FIFA World Cup with the President of the United States. During our conversation, I explained that there was an ongoing legal process involving FIFA's independent judicial bodies and that the case would be decided in due course by the competent bodies. That is how FIFA's system works, and it is a principle that I will always uphold. I've been told by a U.S. official that the U.S. government provided, quote, additional evidence to FIFA's disciplinary committee. Exactly what that evidence is not clear, but it was suggested to me that the government and President Trump took issue with the use of slow motion replay, the VAR system, to analyze the ultimate red card that was handed out there by the referee on the field. We should be clear that FIFA's rules do not expressly stipulate that they cannot use slow motion replay, but in general should not, in order to determine the intensity of whether a yellow or red card should be handed out. But even more so, I think the president made one very head-spinning comment for all of soccer fans around the world, and that was the fact that he didn't even know what a red card was before last week's U.S. matchup. Take a listen to more of what the president said in the Oval.
I spoke to Gianni, who's highly respected, who's produced the most successful World Cup in history by, they say, 4 times. He gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that that means you can't play in the next game. All I did, I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. I related just that feel. I didn't tell him what to do. I can't tell him what to do, but and I don't believe he made the decision. I think it was a committee that made the decision, and they made the right decision.
And so the Belgian Football Association has appealed this decision here by FIFA, And we're about 6 hours away from kickoff here in this matchup tonight, Ali. And the question is, will FIFA, which has not expressly articulated why they reversed their decision in the first place to keep Balogun on the field tonight, whether they will take up that appeal from Belgium and reverse course. This is not just a sports mess right now, but it's a global news mess here as well, with the President of the United States here finding himself at the heart of the World Cup, Ali.
Yeah, and you got to imagine he's going to hear about it at NATO. But Miles, the symbolism here is, I think, what's worth latching onto, because it's Trump swooping in to help this one specific American who, frankly, if Stephen Miller and Republicans had their way, wouldn't even be an American, wouldn't even be on this team, given the fact that he is an American because he was born here.